Have you ever taken what felt like the perfect photo only to upload it and it looks like this? Or maybe while you're taking pictures, your image looks way too bright or way too dark? Well, that is because of your ISO. Today, I'm going over everything you need to know about ISO and how it impacts your images, so let's jump right in. ISO is the third point on the exposure triangle. I have already covered aperture and shutter speed, so if you're interested in those, the links are in the description. Go check those out. So overall, the exposure triangle is a tool photographers use to help us understand the relationships between these three elements, and each of them play an important role in creating the photo that you want to take. Fortunately for us, ISO is the simplest of the three and usually the easiest to understand. ISO sensitivity is a scale set by the International Organization for Standardization. A higher number represents a higher sensitivity and a greater ability for your camera to capture light. Simply put, when you need more light in your camera, you should raise your ISO, and when you need less, you should lower it. And really, that's most of what you need to know on how ISO works. The complicated piece of all this is knowing when to use it. Many beginner photographers will make ISO the first setting they change on their camera. It's easy to understand, and so instead of trying to embrace and learn the other settings, they'll rely only on ISO. And this is a mistake. ISO should be the last setting a photographer touches. Both shutter speed and aperture have greater impacts on how much light is getting into your camera, and they also have additional effects that impact how your image looks. You should be asking yourself, what kind of image do I want to take, and what settings do I need to technically create that? Then adjust your aperture and your shutter speed to achieve this look. And from there, if it's too dark, you can raise your ISO. If your photo is too bright, you can lower it. And the main reason behind all of this is the side effect of bumping up your ISO. When photos use a really high ISO, it creates this really grainy, noisy image. And it can turn something really high quality into something that looks like this. Now, sometimes photographers will use this effect to kind of create a special image that they want. But for the most part, if you want to keep that high quality, sharp photo, you want your ISO to be as low as possible. And really, that will do it for ISO. It's a very simple idea. Again, it just takes practice to kind of get used to when you should lower and raise your ISO and how much is too much. So get out there and experiment with that on your own camera and see how that feels. If you're interested in learning about the exposure triangle, again, I've got aperture and shutter speed videos made and linked in the description, so check those out. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.